Tonight, our main speaker is Greg with 2 Gs. Please help me welcome Greg with 2 Gs.
My name is Greg with 2 Gs, and I'm an alcoholic. Okay, so those that are doing the math right now, it's 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end, a total of 2 Gs, okay? So what it was like, what happened, and what happened again, and what happened again, and kind of like what it's like now. I'm going to get to share that with you guys tonight. So, thank you, Kirk, for hooking me up and getting me to be here again. I've been able to do this at this meeting before, and it's been about a year or so. So if you're in here and you were here a year ago or you heard my story before, it kind of hasn't changed. I still got the same story. The good part is I haven't added anything to it other than good stuff. Okay, so I grew up in San Jose, California. Grew up in a working class neighborhood. My parents drank, their friends drank, all my relatives drank. There was always alcohol around, and it just seemed normal to me. It just seemed like that was just the normal way of life. People drank, sometimes too much, quite often too much, but I just always saw it around. I didn't think anything negative about it or understand anything about alcoholism or the destructiveness of it. In fact, my grandfather was an alcoholic, and the only reason I knew that is because people told me that. I didn't know it because I, for one, didn't know anything about alcoholism, but my grandfather was a great guy. I mean, I love that man. He was good to me. He was, good to everybody. Everybody liked him. He was a good guy. And without a doubt, he was an alcoholic. So as I grew up and I heard negative talk about an alcoholic, it kind of pissed me off because it's like, well, you're talking down about my grandfather, and I didn't learn till later in life all the destructiveness of the disease of alcoholism, all the wreckage that goes on. And a lot of it was my own wreckage that I created. So growing up, like I said, there was alcohol around at parties, barbecues, reunions, whatever was happening, there was alcohol around. The first time I remember drinking alcohol, I was about 12 or 13 years old. And my cousin and I stole a bottle of sloe gin out of my uncle's bar. And I don't even know if you guys know what sloe gin is, but it's gin, and it's thick and very syrupy. And he and I drank that bottle of sloe gin together at 12 or 13 years old. And I drank most of it. He ended up getting really sick, and I didn't. In fact, I remember I liked it. I liked the way I felt from that. I liked what that result was. And my mom ended up finding out, and she's like, I can't believe you're not just terribly sick. But I just, from day one, I had a tolerance for it, So life goes on, and I grow up and I go through high school, and this is in the 70s, and yeah, we were drinking football games or dances or whatever event was going on. There was alcohol around, and we drank a lot of it. And but I always remember that it was just, for me, it was just getting a buzz. I was okay with it. I wasn't like others that would drink too much and they'd end up puking and passing out and all that stuff, and I didn't really have that issue. But then I didn't drink a lot, after high school. I kind of stayed away from that element. Within a couple years, it started again, though. So I'd say in my mid-20s, it started up again. Started drinking more socially, but and around that time, there were other substances around, that were powder form and that kind of thing. And, I tried that a few times, and, it was okay. But I always tend to go back to the alcohol. I always tend to go back to, for one, it was legal, to buy alcohol. It was legal to have around. The laws weren't as stiff as they are now on the driving and everything else. So the alcohol became more and more common, and it went from beer to, I could drink Jack Daniels and get there a lot quicker, So it just became the lifestyle. Somewhere in there, before 30 years old, I crossed that invisible line that we read about in the big book. We go over that line to where we're not doing it with any kind of control or reason. We're doing it because we have to. This point in my life is starting to accelerate, and I'm married, and I have a family, and I have a high-pressure job, and I have a lot going on, that qualified me to be able to drink all the time. In my mind, it's like, yeah, there's a reason to drink. A lot of us talk about in our stories how we drank to fit in. I didn't do that. I drank to fit out. I drank to shut everything off. I drank to not have to answer my phone. I drank to not have to deal with the kids that needed tending to, or the wife at that time that needed tending to, or the family, or the other responsibilities, because I was on the go all the time, and the only way I could shut down and shut the head off and get away from everything was if I drank, because then I just didn't care. So life's going on. I'm drinking on a fairly regular basis, and the marriage is going in the toilet, and the job intensity and pressure is just increasing, and right along with that, my consumption of alcohol is increasing too. Lose the marriage falls apart, I end up with this high-pressure job, and I'm a single dad half of the week, and I'm trying to juggle all this stuff, and I was choosing alcohol to escape everything that I thought I had worked for. I thought that, all my achievements in life and what I was trying to get to, I was just trying to shut it all off because I didn't know how to do that. I knew no other way to do that. Alcohol was fast and easy. So then the problems, they talk about how we start and it's fun, and then it's fun with problems, but then it's just problems. Well, the problems came. And then it was nonstop problems. Then it was to the point where, I had to drink in the morning to feel okay. I couldn't get my day started without getting alcohol in my system. So at some point in 1994, I decided I'm going to go to a 4th of July party at a friend's house. And he lives out in, another county that's probably 40, 50 miles from where I live. So I work that day, and then I go to his house, and then we start the 4th of July celebrations early in the afternoon, and I just get, intoxicated to the point of blackout. And I had done that before, so I wasn't a stranger to it, and I always seemed to somehow find my way home. And I left his house in time to get home in dark for the fireworks. So it's 4th of July, so it's summertime, and I'm driving home, and I get in an accident. And I'm in a company vehicle, and It's a pretty bad accident. You know, nobody was injured terribly, but it crushed up some cars pretty bad. So I ended up getting arrested, and I'm driving. I remember going, they're taking me downtown, you know, and I'm in the back of the cop car watching all the fireworks go off, and I'm like, wow, this is how I'm celebrating freedom. I'm riding in the back of the cop car with the handcuffs on, you know, and so I end up getting a DUI, still not thinking that I got a problem with alcohol. I just got caught, you know. Yeah, I wrecked a company vehicle and a couple other cars, but I just got caught, you know. So I go through that whole DUI driving school, 16 weeks. I have to serve weekends for the community, you know, to do my jail time. And I go through all that stuff, and there was a lady at the DUI school that was like the teacher of the school, the class or something like that. And she used to talk to me, and she used to tell me, you know, I think you ought to try AA. You know, I think you might like it. I'm like, I don't need that. I just need to get through this class so I can get my license back, get my job back, you know, all the stuff that I wanted back. So, you know, and she did it in the best possible way for me to have that seed planted. She wasn't telling me I had to. She wasn't trying to force it. She was suggesting it. To this day, I wish I could run into her and thank her for that. To this day, I hope that everybody in this room has somebody like that in their life, in their recovery story, that they had somebody there that God put there that just planted that seed or watered that seed or fed that a little bit, because later on I realized how valuable that was to me. So, story goes on. I get through the DUI stuff. You know, I get my license back. I finish the class. You know, I'm thinking, okay, that's all behind me. I'm moving forward, and I'm going on back to, you know, I had stopped drinking on my own, white-knuckling it for a 3-month period or something. Well, I'm done with all this other stuff, so I can drink again. So, and it was back on just like that. You know, I started drinking again just to where it had to happen every day. You know, and it got so bad, you know, that I would have to get up at like 4 in the morning to drink so I could get some alcohol in my system, so I could go to work. I could do all my paperwork and stuff that I had to do so I could write, because I was shaking so bad if I didn't have alcohol in me that I couldn't even fill out paperwork or do my job. And, you know, I'm on big construction sites, you know, doing my job, hammered, and I'm drunk, and I'm at work. Still not thinking I have a problem. This is just maintenance for me. This is just what I need to do to get through my everyday. So it kept going like that. And then another DUI happened 8 months after the first one. And it was on a Saturday, and I was going to a friend's house that evening to he had a sporting event he was inviting a bunch of people over for, and I got really ready before I went. And I remember leaving my house at about 5 o'clock in the evening, and the next thing I know, it's almost 9 o'clock at night, and I'm getting stopped by the police in an area of town that I don't know anybody, that I don't even know why I would be over there. I don't know where I had been for that 5-hour segment, and I'm coming up on an intersection, and I'm coming out of a blackout, and I saw a stop sign, and I knew I wasn't going to make the stop sign, and I blew right through it. Excuse me. And cops coming through the intersection right then. I mean, his timing couldn't have been better. So I blow through this stop sign, he hooks a Yui, he comes at me, I pull over, you know. This is when I'm coming out of my blackout. The stop sign and the cops pulling me over. Pull over, he comes up to the car and he asks for all my paperwork and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to go good. So I give him the stuff, and then he, of course, he runs it all, and he comes back to the car and he goes, have you been drinking? I said, yes. And he goes, okay, I need you to step out. He goes, I need to give you a sobriety test. I go, no, you don't. He goes, are you refusing to take the sobriety test? I said, no, I'm not refusing. I just know I'm not going to pass. And he goes, oh, So he's like, he didn't know what to do then other than he was going to arrest me. So he handcuffs me and tells me to go sit in the car and wait there, and he's calling some superior to figure out how to handle this one. And so he's taking me downtown. Here I go again. And he says, I go, hey, man, can you just let me go? I'll just walk home from here. You know, I don't even know where I am. You know, and so I'll walk. He goes, no, I can't do that now. I go, all right. He goes, so what's going on with you? I go, what do you mean? He goes, you just went through this 8 months ago. You know, he had everything there. I go, he goes, you need to figure out what's going on. You know, there's something going on with you that you need to look at that's deeper than just drinking. I'm like, wow, that's pretty heavy from a cop, you know, being that nice about it too, you know. Anyway, so here I go again. So I go back to court and all that stuff, and actually I go back to my attorney after I got out of jail that night, and my attorney's looking at my stuff, and he's like shaking his head, and he goes, you're screwed. Okay, that's not a good feeling when you're paying this guy to try to minimize the amount of screwing you're about to get. But he's like, I don't know what's going to happen here. He goes, but you've got problems. So we go to court. We show up in there, and he goes in first, and then he comes out to get me, and he goes, all right, we're going to go back in there. He goes, you're one of the luckiest guys I know. He goes, this judge is a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. He goes, you do everything he tells you to do. I don't care what he tells you to do, you do it. I go, okay. So we go back in, and the judge, you know, is talking to me, and how do you plead? And I tell him, oh, we go through all that. And he goes, all right, here's what I want you to do. He goes, I'm not going to give you a sentencing today. He goes, you're going to come back here in 30 days, and you're going to have this court card signed, and it's going to be filled out. And the amount of signatures you have on that court card are going to be directly reflective to my sentencings that you get. I'm like, not a problem. I can do that. What is this again? He goes, it's a court card for AA meetings. You have to go there and you have to get this signed. I'm like, okay, if that's what I have to do, I'll do it. I don't think I have a problem. I just keep getting caught, you know. So I leave there, and my attorney tells me, you do whatever he tells you to do. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I leave there, and I have to go down to the AA central office and you know, get the schedule and stuff and figure out what you got. I don't know what AA is. You know, I don't know. I mean, I knew of people that had been there, but I'd never been there. I didn't know what really went on or what it was all about. So I drive down to central office, and I pick up a schedule, and I'm leaving to go back home, and I'm reading in the schedule, and I'm driving illegally, by the way. You know, I'm not supposed to be driving, and I'm driving illegal, and I'm reading in the schedule, and it's got the 12 steps in there. So I start reading those, you know, and I'm going through them, and a miracle happened. I was able to work all 12 steps by the time I got home. So I was ready for this AA thing. I thought I'm ready. You know what? In fact, that organization, they could probably use a guy like me. I could probably help those guys out, and I don't know what they do there, but whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to be an asset to it and help those guys out, and because I'm me, and I'm full of me, and I know that I have a lot to offer, whatever I get involved in. And that's how screwed up my thinking was. I wasn't willing to look at what a wreck I was, what damage I had caused, what wreckage I had caused in my life because of alcohol. I just wanted to drink. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do all this other stuff. So I go home and I get the schedule out and I find, perfect, this is a men's meeting and it's on this night and it's near my house, so I can ride my bike there because I know they're running a sting operation and the cops are going to be there waiting to arrest me if I drive there. So this will work out good. I'll do this and I'll hit this meeting. So I get my mountain bike out and try to look like a mountain bike guy, not a guy that's not supposed to be driving. So I ride my bike to this men's meeting at night, kind of in the wintertime, and I pull up to the meeting and there's two guys in there. Because I was early, because I wanted to do this right, So I got there early, and there's the secretary and the guy that was going to be sharing that night. And so I meet these guys, and this guy that was a secretary says, "Hey, welcome." And he goes, "So what brings you here?" Okay, when a grown man rides a bike in the wintertime to an AA meeting, a men's AA meeting at night, he already knows why I'm there. Okay, so I said, well, the DUI thing, He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, hey, you know what? He goes, I know how you can never get another DUI. I'm like, really? Well, I need to know that because I keep getting caught. And I'm thinking, in my mind, man, these guys know the cops, or they got an angle, or a secret handshake, or what's the deal, I go, how's that? And he goes, hey, stick around for the whole meeting, and I'll tell you. I go, okay. So I stayed for that whole meeting, and I have no idea what they talked about to this day. I do not know. I know that I was really freaked out at the end when a bunch of men stood up and held hands and did the little river dance thing, and I was like, okay, it's a little weird, but I need to know how to not get another DUI, so I'm gonna shake hands with these guys and hold hands. I'll break dance if you guys ask me to, if you give me that information. So after the meeting, I find the guy and I go, hey, because it got crowded. A lot of guys showed up for the meeting, and the guy goes, I go, hey, so how's this you don't get another DUI? And he goes, don't drink. And I'm like, you bastard. That just really did not go well. I didn't like that. I felt like I got played, I felt like they were making fun of me. But I also right then realized it's that simple. And I also realized it's just not going to be easy. And that started my quest for AA. That started me to, okay, how do these guys do this? How do you not drink? How do you not drink when you're going out to barbecue at night? I mean, that's un-American to me. You got to have a beer when you're barbecuing, right? Their only objective was not drink. The problem was I was trying to fit into an organization, and I didn't meet the only requirement for the membership. At that point, I did not meet that one only requirement that we have for membership, which is number 3 right here. Because I didn't have a desire to stop drinking. I wanted to not go to jail anymore, not damage relationships anymore, not put my job at stake anymore, but I still wanted to drink. But I'm an alcoholic. I can't do that. because once I start, I am not going to stop. So I had to get to the point from that point to where I conceded to my innermost self that I am an alcoholic. I had to get to that point of admitting that. And none of us like to admit any kind of defeat. But that started my quest in AA, and I did it. You know, I did it to the best of my ability for quite a long time. I did it for about 7.5 years. And I did everything that they suggested and what they suggested, and to the best of my ability, like I said. And then I quit doing it. And then I quit showing up to meetings. And I quit talking to other alcoholics. And I quit talking to God and trying to, you know, figure out what His plan was. I got my plate's full with plan right now, God, so I'll get to your plan after I thin this one out a little bit. You know, I quit doing all that stuff, and it happens just like they say. And after 7.5 years, I thought I might be fixed. My alcoholic mind makes me think that I could probably control it. You know, if I don't stay involved, if I don't keep myself at that point of number 3, that I keep that requirement there, a desire to not just stop drinking, but to not drink. If I don't stay there, I know where my head's going to take me. And so I did. I drank again. You know, and it was really cool because I controlled it. Once. One time I drank and I'm like, that was it. But I was already in my head trying to figure out the next time, the next one, the next 20, the next 50, and it was game on. And I was right back to where I was. Everything that I'd built back up in my life that I had worked really hard to get to in that 7.5 years was about to be gone just like that. Because of that first drink. Because I stopped doing what I was told works. Start doing what I think works, and that's how I end up. So I pulled that off for a while, and then I got to that point again, and you know, I was ready to lose the best woman in my life. My current wife was ready to just tell me, "We're done. Get out. Go away." You know, my job was at stake. Everything was at stake. And I realized I can't stop. You know, I was drinking in the morning again, drinking at night, sneaking it, hiding it, drinking to stop the shakes, drinking because the sun came up, drinking just because I thought I could control it, and I can't. So I checked back into a treatment center and went and spent another 30 days there. And I went into that treatment center. I blew like a 3.9 when I got there. So I was a mess. So for about 4 days, I didn't even come out of the room. I just stayed in the detox. And they finally got me to the point where I could safely come out of the room. And I walked down to the cafeteria and I sat down in there and I'm looking around going, God, how did this happen? How did this happen again? You know, but right then I made that decision. I'm going to do whatever it takes, whatever I have to do. And I'm not doing it for the wife or the job or anything else. I'm doing it because this is what I have to do to not drink. If I don't bury myself into this and I don't commit myself to this, I'm not going to have any of that other stuff. So when I do recovery, when I do AA, when I practice these principles in all of my affairs, when I do what I'm suggested to do, by people that I can trust and people that have proven successful, when I do all that, life is really good. If I don't do that, I know where I'm going to end up. I got a story I got to share because this is a big part of my story. So after this time of getting sober, which was December 20th, 2006, couple months later, I wanted to do something for my family, you know, and I wanted to thank them for sticking it out with me. So I decided to take everybody snow skiing. So I rented a house up in the snow, and got all the equipment, got everything set up, and we're going to go out and have a couple good days of, just me thanking them for what they've done for me. And so we get up there, and we're getting ready to go skiing, and beautiful day, clear skies. It snowed the night before. I mean, any snowboarders or skiers in here? I mean, you guys know, that weather. It's like the perfect. So we get out there. Well, it wasn't so perfect for them. I've been skiing a long time. I'm not too worried about whatever chair or hill I end up on. I'm going to be okay. Well, they didn't have that ability. So we're going up the wrong chair for their level, and I'm like, oh, geez, I picked the wrong chair. Sorry. All right, let's go skiing. Well, there's a lot of fear going on with them. And as they got more scared, I'm getting more complaints from them. It's too hot, or I'm too cold, or I'm thirsty, or I'm hungry, or the hill's too steep, and that's all I'm hearing. I'm not hearing their fear of what's going on because of my bad decision. I'm hearing they don't appreciate me. They don't appreciate what I've done. They don't appreciate what I'm doing for them, and it turned back into me. So I basically ditched my family on the side of that hill, and the ski patrol kind of had to get them down. And I said, you can go take a lesson or go to the lodge or do whatever you want. I got a mountain I'm going to go conquer. So that's what I did. Back into that self, back into that, what my plan is should work. If you guys can't buy into it, that's your problem, not mine. So I take off skiing, and I'm up on the back side of the ski resort, and that, that chair that goes the furthest one back. I'm skiing down where that lodge is at the back of the hill. Snowboarders, skiers, that one lodge way out there where nobody knows me. And I know they serve alcohol there. And that seemed like a good idea for a second. I could do this. I could pull this off. And something came over me, And I did what they taught me to do, and I just hit my knees, and I'm like, God, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to lie. I don't want to do this game anymore. I don't want to deal with this frustration. Help me. That's all I had. That's all I could offer to God at that point was just help me. So I skied past that lodge, and I get on the chair. It's a 4-person chair. And I get on the chair, and these 2 snowboard punks come sliding in, and they're going to ride the chair with me, and it's a long chair. And I'm a snow ski guy, not a snowboard guy. But I remember being that age, and I remember what we did on the chairs on the way up to the top of the hill. And I knew they were going to start burning one, or they're going to, bust the flask out, or what. I mean, I get it. I know, and I'm just like, oh, man, I can't believe. So they get on the chair, we're riding up, and start talking to one of the guys, and he says, hey, how's it going? I go, it's going all right. And he goes, hey, where are you from? So I told him. So I asked him, well, where are you from? He goes, I'm from Modesto. I go, what do you do there in Modesto? He goes, I go to church and I work. I go, oh, okay, he goes to church, that's probably good. I go, well, where do you work? He goes, I work in a men's alcohol recovery center. And I'm just like, I go, dude, you have no idea what's going on. I go, so you got some clean time? He goes, yeah, I got 5 years or something. I go, I got to tell you what's going on right now. And I told him, and we had our own meeting all the way up to the top of that hill. And I didn't see him the rest of the day. We talked a little bit up at the top, and then he was gone. And it's like, okay, nobody can tell me that my God doesn't hear me. Nobody can tell me that my God's not waiting to do what I need. And that's what I needed at that moment in that time, because I did what was suggested. And if I keep doing that to the best of my ability, doing this program of recovery, and I make myself available to be that guy on the chair that shows up that says, hey, I know about recovery and I'm here. Just be there. Be available. But I got to be sober to do it. I got to be working the program to do it. I got to be practicing these principles in all of my affairs. And when I quit doing that, I know where my life goes, and I know where it's going to take me. So with that being said, this is the best deal in town. It doesn't get any better than this. This is where we get to put on our armor so that when we go out there, we're ready. We're ready to be of service. We're ready to help somebody else. And if we practice this stuff, we'll get the help we need. We just got to do what we're told. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm Greg, alcoholic. Thank you.